Welcome to the girls. We're on fire this season. We are at the Southside Fire Station in Hazleton, and we are sitting on one of the biggest trucks here.
Yes, we are. I can't wait for this show because we're going to be trying on some of the equipment, learning about the apparatus, and most importantly, educating you on fire safety.
Well, how do you like my hat?
I do like your hat.
It weighs about maybe 10 or 15 pounds, and the longer it's on, it feels like it's 50 pounds. So this is just one piece of gear. Could you imagine?
My hat's not that heavy. I'm good. Good for this show.
Well,
we were going to talk about being on fire. You and I just recently went to a rally.
It was great. Oh my God.
What rally?
Charging me up. Trump rally, Donald Trump's rally. And it was so fabulous. We were at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Wilkes-Barre, and we were just so lucky that we just kept walking down. Now we got in the second row.
It was a great experience, whether you're for Trump or any of the other candidates. It wasn't really about supporting a candidate. It was about experiencing going to a presidential rally. Right. And for us, it was just neat being a part of that, listening to the issues of like-minded people there. There were a couple protesters, but I didn't see many.
No, most of the people who were there, of course, had Trump signs and were the applause and everything. It was just so energizing. I just loved it. I have never been to a rally before, and I just think that that really kicked off a great start for whoever's campaign it is.
It was nice to see how they orchestrate the Secret Service around him, around a presidential candidate, and all of just the momentum in that stadium. You felt the excitement being there.
Right, everything was orderly, even going in, you know, with the searching and whatever too. So everything was safe. Everybody was calm.
It was our first concert together.
It was, and I enjoyed the popcorn too. How about the popcorn?
We had popcorn, that's right. That's right, we had popcorn together. So that was our little experience that, you know, we always chat about what we've done lately, and we went to the rally. And our guest on today's show was actually at the rally as well, and he actually got to get a signature. So he was really close, so we'll talk to him coming up.
That's right. So stay with us. We're going to learn more about all of the fire equipment, what it takes to be a fireman, and we're going to be fire women for the day. Welcome back to the girls. We're at the Southside Fire Station in Hazleton, and Janine and I are fire girls for the day. We are with the head honcho here. We're with Chief Don Leschko, and we're with some of the equipment. And you know, Chief, this brings back a lot of memories for me because my dad, better known as Juba Marquez to all the fire department, worked in the fire department. So as a young kid, I used to come to this very station and ring the bell, get in the truck, of course, when they weren't busy. But I was one of the fortunate kids. All my friends wanted to come with me and hang out at the fire station. So at a young age, I got to learn all about fire safety. And how long have you been with the fire department?
I've been working for the city of Hazleton for 16 years. I've been fire chief now for the past 11 years. But just as you grew up in a firefighter's family, so did I. My father was fire chief in McAdoo. My brothers are still very active over there, and I try in my spare time to do as much as I can there, but being chief of the city, it gets a little busy. So, and I'm still, you know, it's growing up in the fire service, going to the firehouses, and now I take my son, Donald Robert, with me every time we get a chance. You know, we get to see fire trucks and go see fire trucks, and it's just a great experience. And it's great growing up in that type of a family.
It's third generation, and in addition to overseeing all of the firemen and all of the equipment and whatever, of course, you have to get out into the community and teach fire safety as well.
Yeah, we do a great effort every year and every day. We try to teach fire safety every day. We're out in the schools, we're out in the community groups, the Senior Citizens Center. You know, the high rises, just any public place we can get out fire safety to, we're always trying to get out there to get our word out about the importance of working smoke detectors, the importance of working carbon monoxide detectors, and just the importance of knowing what to do if a fire happens.
I could relate to that because it was a snowy winter day, and I know Donald knows what I'm going to say, and both of my carbon monoxide detectors were going off at the same time, and I had the kids in the house. Mark was outside snow blowing, and I didn't know what to do. And you don't really want to call 911 unless you really have to, but it was nice to be able to call Donald, even though I don't live in the city of Hazleton. I just called and said, should I call 911? Shouldn't I call 911? So really you do educate all year round. And he's laughing because I was like, should I or shouldn't I? What should I do?
It was probably one of the, one of the worst snowstorms, the only major snowstorm we had this year. And when I got the call from Janine telling me what was going on, I'm like, and she said everything she did, and a normal thing is change the batteries, movie detector was still going off. At that point, you have to call 911. And if it goes off, your most important thing is to call 911. Janine found out they had an issue, and it was corrected. And most importantly, it saved their lives, saved Janine and her family's life, because carbon monoxide, again, odorless, tasteless, colorless, and it's a silent killer.
So make sure you look on the back of your carbon monoxide. Look on the back of the detector, thank you, because they're dated, and every so often you do have to change them. I didn't know that you needed to actually change those after so many years, but each one will tell you. Some are 5 years, some are 7 years, some are 10 years.
Yeah, a lot of like the smoke detectors now, they have a 10-year sealed lithium-ion battery. So I mean, you don't have to change the battery, and it's good for 10 years. And after 10 years, you throw it away and get a new one. You recycle.
Does that mean the ones that I have from when I put them in my house in the 70s that I keep changing the batteries every 6 months? I should get some new smoke detectors. I do have them, but nobody put them up yet. So I guess I have to put them up.
Or if not, call your fireman. They'll be more than happy.
My fireman will come and do it.
But the Leshko name, the Leshko family, when you say get out into the community, when I think of Leshko and when this community thinks of the name Leshko, we know how much volunteering your family does. You're always in the community, your brothers, your entire family. So I do have to commend you for that.
Thank you so much. And again, it's I sometimes call it a competition at Sunday dinner. Who can get into the paper more or on a news station? I try to let my other two brothers beat me, but now being chief of Hazleton, guess what? I have them beat on that.
Well, look what you're doing today. He's the star. The star of the girls.
So we want to make this show a little bit interactive, but of course we want to make it educational for our viewers at home. So we're telling you about carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, both really you need, and we have a lot of equipment that costs a lot of money. So when you think, all this equipment that they're wearing, all this stuff costs a lot of money and is needed to save your life and your family's lives.
Yeah, I mean, the equipment we have here today, right here on this table, all the equipment together comes out to be about a total of $8,500. That's including the coat that we buy, that we have to buy our firefighters, which is made of made up of a very high strength material. It's to protect them. It's rated up well over 1,000 degrees, let them get in to fight the fire wherever they have to go and the job they got to do. But it's also made of puncture resistant, reflective, especially because we just don't fight fires anymore. Now we're doing car accidents. You name it, if somebody dials 911, we're going to do it. So. And
these are heavy. Like this,
exactly.
How much does this weigh?
That's probably about 25 to 30 pounds.
This is, so you really, we're going to be wearing this equipment later, but to put on, it's heavy material. I'm going to try to put it on myself, but we're going to be wearing these coming up on the show for part 2 when we actually.
And most importantly, you just did a good thing there. I'm very impressed.
I have sweatshirts like this.
You wear the wristlet, but that's so important because when we're going into fires, we can't have any skin that's open. Right. So the coats are equipped with a wristlet, and we put our glove on. The glove comes up to here and covers all that. So all this area is covered, that nothing's open.
Now, you also have to wear this not only in the winter, but
in the summer.
In the summertime.
Exactly.
So this, I just wanted to see if I could put that on by myself. But this is a lot to hold. Yeah. So what's in the jacket also?
What's in the jacket is there's a flashlight on the front that we have mounted, and then there's gloves in the pockets. There's every firefighter has something different. They put a rescue mask for CPR. Okay. We have them.
We have another pocket in here, or another.
That's a pair of gloves for at an accident scene. They can open and put them on to assist like that. Okay. For bloodborne pathogens.
All right.
And that's also striping. That's a radio pocket to put a portable radio in that we need to use to communicate out to the fire scene.
I feel something else in these pockets. What's in here?
There's probably going to be more structural firefighting gloves. Plus, a lot of firefighters also carry tools, cutters.
Oh yeah, I don't want to cut myself.
Yeah. There's let's see here. A pair of pliers. There you go. A pair of pliers for anything such as shutting off a sprinkler head, using anything. And now you laugh at this. But here we go into houses today, and we know in our older homes, a lot of houses have outlets that are still like that.
Okay.
But if you burn something in your kitchen, we get called to your house for a fire. Sometimes you don't really have to drag the jet. We don't have to start, we use power from your own house. So our cords are the new plug, but some of the older homes are still that plug. So
you have to carry that around.
Carry that with us. And we usually have these on our fans, but some firefighters carry that because you never know when you need it. Screwdriver. That's for you can use it for any type of.
It's just like going through someone's purse. Like, let's see what else we have in here.
Adjustable wrench that can be used for shutting off gas valves, any type of a unit like that.
Okay.
Cutters. This is very interesting because how many homes we have today have you drop ceilings in?
Oh.
If that comes down during a fire and a firefighter's crawling, that wiring sometimes can get trapped on you. So you're taught in school, we take a firefighter survival course, you're using those cutters to cut that wire to get yourself free. I
think it's so scary, and I know we're going to be doing this and going through structure, but I think it's so scary that first of all, most of these firemen and women are volunteers, and they are in these structures. They don't know if they're, it could be pitch dark in there. They don't know if they could fall through the floor. They don't know if there's going to be wires, glass, children, babies.
Right. Yeah, we've had buildings where people have gone in and have done modifications of buildings, taking out walls, and just because they buy these older homes, they're modifying homes, they're taking out support walls. They're not getting a structural person there to look and make sure they can take out this wall. So right then and there, a fire gets in these buildings, there's areas, there's open gaps, it weakens the structure, and honestly, you've got to really be careful, but most importantly, you got to really use training to your ability. And as you'll see later on, when we send you through the building, you're going to get to see what it's like with the smoke. Remember, sometimes you have your hand like this in front of your face, you can't see where you're going.
All right, so my mom has one of the hats on, but the hat is special, right?
Right, the helmet's special, and that's something that's protect your head. It has ear flaps on it. It has a chin strap on it that you're going to put on, because remember, a helmet can come down, something can knock it off. You want that helmet to stay on you. So that's where the chin strap stays in. There's goggles for eye protection. This is one thing that's more ceremonial in the fire department, is the front piece. Usually in the fire department, as we have here in the city, we're a combination department, so that means that we have career firefighters working. And what that means is this front stays with them throughout their whole career. When they go to retire, they take that front with them. That's something ceremonial that we talked about. Me and your mom had a discussion on that before. With her dad, is that a lot of that time before it was used to turn all this stuff in. Now, as part of a ceremony, we give that to you. You've earned that. And I've always
so Pop doesn't have
He doesn't have one, so I'm going to steal one today. No. I'm going to get mine from my helmet. Yeah. We'll stay with us. When we come back, we're going to learn more about the fire equipment and see the trucks. Welcome back to the girls. We're at the South Side Fire Station. We're with Chief Don Leschko, and we are learning all about the equipment, and Janine and I are being firefighters for the day. So we've gone through some of the equipment, and I want to know what this is. Right there, that is called the Jaws of Life. Now, you remember, years have passed, and we had this, it's called the Jaws of Life, but this is considered a transformer in the Jaws of Life. What happens is these arms, we can take these pins out, and we can extend these to make them smaller or larger because of what the cars are today. But this is our most important tool in an automobile accident that we need to use to get in, if it's entangled, anything like that. We use this to get in through the doors. It's all hydraulically driven. It hooks up to a pump. And this actually is this is one of the newest tools on the market. In today's day and age, they're either hydraulic driven or now they're battery operated. So we have this is the top of the line unit that is used in the fire service today. And we have actually, in our department, we have two sets of them. We have two complete sets. We have a Jaws of Life, and then we also have a cutter, because you're going to use to cut the car apart. But nowadays, with everything with airbags and everything with the sensors, you got to really watch where you're cutting and prying, because sometimes in automobile accidents, when you're doing all this, the airbag can accidentally, if the airbag didn't go off, you might trigger it to go off. Oh, wow.
In my reporting days, you didn't want to show up and see one of these because you knew that it was a really, really bad accident. Since you brought up the point of how this equipment changes, does that also affect how much training you get and how often you need to be trained?
Yeah. So right now, we talked about the price of equipment. That's not putting a firefighter in that equipment to do the job. That right alone takes about 120 to 150 hours of training just to get used to using this stuff, using the SCBA and putting the turnout gear on. So that's a lot of training involved in that. Then plus it's all the continuation training, hazardous materials, with the changing of automobiles, with the changing of buildings. I mean, with the changing of the way buildings are built today. Some buildings, we all know buildings are built more efficiently, more effectively, but they're also built more to burn easier, faster, and also built sometimes to do more harm to our firefighters.
So again, not only having the equipment, but being educated how to use it properly, because you'd actually do more damage than good if you don't know how to use a piece of equipment such as the jaws of life.
And one thing is, we all know after 9/11, the whole thing of terrorist attacks, CBRN attacks, this air pack right here, this SCBA, it's a Scott SCBA, it is actually equipped to handle a CBRN incident. So that means if anything is a chemical, biological, this unit is certified and equipped to handle that. So it's not only used that we can use it to fight fires, but if we ever got into that issue, this unit is certified by the National Fire Protection Association to handle that type of response.
It's amazing when you think firefighter, I think we should rename it, because you do more than just fight fires. It's more like a safety, safety fighter.
And I look at it also with not only firemen, policemen, service, you know, armed services. You're becoming world protector. You know, I always say world protector, and people look at me like, what do you mean by that? Because the bottom line is it's homeland security. You're at the first defense. The first people, when they need help, they're calling a fireman, policeman, or, you know, and if it goes from there, if it's a national disaster, you're looking at servicemen, EMS workers. You're the first line of defense that people call and need help, and they know when they see those people coming, you know, firemen, police, they know they're going to get help.
Since you're on the girls, over the course of your profession, how many women have you actually seen step up and are actually doing more of these roles?
I've seen a lot. I mean, there is a lot more in today's day and age, and there's a lot more women taking leadership roles in the fire service. You know, there's a lot more departments hiring women as fire chiefs. And I mean, I've met a few women throughout my career now. As being a fire chief, you get to go to a lot of different conferences, meetings. You are meeting females that are taking on that role and that leadership role. And guess what? I look at it this way. Any woman can do this job just as good as a guy can do it.
Well, you're my kind of guy. Multitasking. Women are better multitaskers.
And it's the truth. Listen, I mean, I see it, and I see it every day. Any woman can do this job just as well as a guy can do it. Because the bottom line is, it's a job of endurance. It's a job of getting, you know, working hard. And you see that every day. I mean, there is no more, well, this ain't a woman's job. This isn't. It's about doing the job and getting the job done. They can do it. And guess what? I can honestly say it, and oh my God, I'm going to say this. There's probably some women that can do the job better than guys can.
Right, and you're not saying that because I was holding the axe, right?
No, never.
And you know, when you're shorter, maybe girls are smaller, they can get in there and, you know, maybe maneuver around a little bit better, as opposed to a guy doing the job.
And that's what it's about. You know, you talk to a lot of women in the fire service, they'll be the first to tell you, listen, I have to do the same job you have to do. And if there's an incident and they don't have to pull me out, or guess what, there's an incident, I have to pull them out. The bottom line is, it's a brotherhood and sisterhood, as I call it. And I always will say it's a brotherhood, sisterhood, that we're there to help each other and there to make sure everybody goes home. That's the #1 job.
Well, these guys spend a lot of time together. When they're not out on calls and they're here at the firehouse itself, they have to maintain all of this equipment. And after a fire, you have to come back and you have to wash all the hoses and get all the equipment ready again. So it's a 24-hour-a-day job, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. You'll see us at a fire. You know, we get done with a fire, we're trying to right away break equipment down to get it back to the station, to get that stuff back in service. You got our decontaminated equipment, you know, especially turnout gear, mask, SCBA equipment, get hose washed. And the biggest thing is now is, you know, it's a thing we're fighting another battle. It's cancer. Right. Fire service cancer rates are very high right now. Humongous. They're absolutely through the roof. And now we're fighting that to prevent it. And because of because of what everything's made of. Everything's made of carcinogens. It's made of bad stuff. But it all looks great in your home. It looks, and I'll be the first to say it looks decorative. But when it burns, it's burning bad, and it's putting bad chemicals out there that we're breathing in, and also getting on our gear that we have to get cleaned. And we don't want to take that stuff home. And bottom line is, we don't want to get sick.
Right.
We wanted to hit on the trucks because these trucks cost a lot of money, and we want people to be educated on exactly, you know, obviously if a fire truck is moving along with its sirens on, you want to, of course, move safely to the side of the road. That's common sense. But what are some of the other safeties?
Bottom line is a fire truck like this is a pumper truck. So right now, an estimated cost of a pumper truck is about $450,000. That's not including, that doesn't come with any of this equipment in, doesn't come with none of this hose on it.
Just a shell.
Just a shell. It delivers it from the factory. One thing we're very proud of is all of our trucks are built in Pennsylvania. They're built about 20 miles away from here in Kovach and Escahoning. But that's not including any equipment. So that's $450,000 just to get a truck into the fire station. And then you're looking at about another $100,000 to $150,000 in equipment.
And gas and all that fun
Gas and fuel,
stuff?
service. I mean, these trucks have to go through service just like your car does. I mean, you know, everybody takes their car for an oil change. The fire trucks have to go for that. They need tires. I mean, when you're putting tires on this, I can tell you a set of tires for a fire truck is about $4,000 for a set of tires. So it's not cheap. It's not, you know, by no means, you know, everybody says, oh, you know, look at them driving around these fancy fire trucks. These are toolboxes. They're carrying our tools to do a job.
These are saving your life.
These are saving our life. I mean, they're there because when you call for help, you want everything there. You don't want to have to be waiting. You want that when a truck arrives, it has everything on, it's ready to do its job. And that's between our fire truck, you know, our pumpers do, and our ladder trucks. I mean, our ladder trucks are probably about, they're anyway right now about $1.2 million to purchase. So that's another big expensive item.
So when you see a fire truck coming to the scene of an incident, how do you know which one you're going to be using? What's the difference between the fire trucks?
Bottom line is our pumpers are pretty much our pumpers are basically all set up the same. We have all the equipment with the exception of the rescue tools. In the city, we have 2 pumpers that only carry rescue tools on it. So we know if we're going to get there for a car accident, we know what pumpers are going to be doing that job. Other than that, the pumpers are set up to fight a fire, to do whatever they need to do at a fire scene. And we know at that point, as the OIC, as the commander would say, listen, I'm going to have you do this, this, and this, and we know what truck we're taking off of. The ladder trucks are carrying multiple fans, saws, tools, the big aerial ladder. They're there to mainly go up, open up a roof, cut a hole in it, ventilate, do search and rescue.
Are there certain heights for each of the ladder trucks?
The 2 ladder trucks we currently have in the city, they're both, one's a 102-foot tower ladder and one's a 100-foot straight ladder. So what it means is the tower ladder, you can go up in a basket. We're going to give you a ride in the basket. We're going to take you up and show you what it is to ride in the tower ladder and to see what's going on with that. But that's a platform you can work off of. A straight ladder is just like a regular extension ladder. You can be on a regular ladder and doing all work just like that. It's like a regular ladder you would have at your house.
You know, one thing that was big when I was a kid was the false alarms. They used to have the fire boxes on the poles, and kids would go and pull the alarm box and actually send in a false alarm because they wanted to see the trucks come out. How dangerous is that? And look at the lives you're putting in. How expensive is it?
That's very dangerous. I mean, the fire alarms are a big thing in the city of Hazleton, the pull stations. And they still have, to me, they still have their place, you know, because it was a way of, anybody knew they had a fire, they went down the block corner, pulled the fire alarm. Now with cell phones, with regular phones, a lot of that has been taken away. But still, false alarms are a great hazard because
that's a criminal charge.
That's a criminal charge, yeah.
It's a criminal charge if you think it's funny, kids, it's criminal.
Yeah.
You actually get caught doing that.
If you're caught with pulling a false alarm, and you can be prosecuted to the fullest extent. I mean, there is no question of saying, well, I did it by accident. And believe me, we have had incidents where little kids have been in the doctor's office or something and saw that fire alarm and pulled it. And you get there and you see that the child's just a mess because they're ecstatic, they're crying. So you want to calm them down, but you also want to teach them a lesson on what they did do wrong and not to do it again.
Yeah, that happened in our own building on Broad Street. We have one in the hallway, and a little kid just bumped up against it and set the alarm off. So, of course, his mom was devastated, but at least we knew it worked, and we called you quickly.
All right, let's go up the ladder.
We've gotten the basics here, Janine. We saw the equipment. We got to feel a little bit of the weight of it. So I hope you learned something here. We're going to go on with show number 2. So you'll have to join us next time to see us actually get the training. And thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you and the guys for letting us in here. I hope that you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next Girls.
This episode of The Girls is dedicated to Andrew Juba Marquez and all of the firefighters and their families, current and deceased, for their sacrifice, dedication, courage, and countless hours of service to the community.